Handmade in Italy, hand stolen in Stepney. It's as long as my arm. I wish it was as long as something else.
I don't know whether I should be the sensible one. I think, you know, we're all very different in our characters in the film than we are in real life. But yeah, I was probably considered to be the muscles of the four. So if we ever got into any kind of trouble, we don't want to bail them out, I suppose.
And you know, Fleming's like the most gregarious, lovely bloke you could meet.
I knew Jason Fleming through reputation because I've always thought he was one of the best actors of my sort of ilk in the country, and I'd seen him do a lot of stuff and I was really knew his work, you know. I thought, well, you know, when I read his name on the cast list I was like, wow.
Oh, they look very nice, I agree, but well, they're lacking in criminal credibility, and I might get laughed at.
I kind of sussed on the first day that I wasn't going to be able to un-tough the people in it. I wasn't going to be able to out-tough these guys because they were all mental, and I thought I'm going to go another way because I'm going to have to if I'm going to get away with this. So I kind of went for the laughable rogue, the one that they all sort of took the mickey out of a wee bit, just because I consciously thought I'm going to have to find a way through this film where I'm going to have my own individuality, because I'm not going to be able to sort of outstare Vinny and I'm not going to be able to outstare Lenny.
You're really supposed to look like that, or it's short stuff.
Never mind short stuff. Listen, the next time we do a job like this, we're going to want more money, Barry. Or we're going back to post offices and cars. Fuck that.
Where's the others?
There was no others.
Stop fucking around, the others, the old ones.
I worked with a guy once who got his jaw broken by Lenny McLean. When Lenny was a doorman at the Camden Pally, and this bloke was just drunk, fell through an emergency door. Next thing, he's just picking himself up off his feet. Next thing you know, he's got Lenny looming over him and just hits him once and broke his jaw in 4 places.
Now fuck off, you scarce cunts.
I knew Lenny McLean from the Camden Palace, because when I used to go to the Camden Palace as a kid, you know, Lenny used to be on the door. And for some funny reason, whenever I turned up with my friends, he always used to, because we used to look at, I used to look at him, we used to like, all right, Lenny, how you doing? He'd go, go on, kid. He didn't have to play, he'd go, go on, kid. And we used to just look, it used to be like punching a ticket, say, all right, Lenny, how you doing? He just used to remember it, go on, kid.
I'm not fucking interested. If you don't want to be counting the fingers you haven't got, or sharing a bed with the Antichrist, I suggest you get those guns. Quick!
All right.
And get us ice cream while you're at it.
He was great to be around.
Once the cast was assembled, but before shooting began, Guy Ritchie decided to throw all of the actors together in a five-a-side football match.
They had a great idea to set up a football match with the cast and the crew at Spitalfields Market. It was really fun. I was in the goals when Vinny was was scoring. It was scary too, I have to say.
I don't really play football very well. And I just remember playing with Robbie Williams, who turned up. I don't know why, he wasn't going to be in the movie. Anyway, he turned up and he played, and he's quite good. He's actually very good. And I just remember being muscled off the ball all the time by Robbie Williams, and it was a kind of an interesting way to meet him. And of course, Vinnie Jones. And I just said, I want to be in his team.
And what they did is he put all the little gangs into their own little five-a-side team. So there was Dog's team, there was our team, and Sting was on our side as well. So it was us four and Sting. And then there was Vinny's team, which was basically the kid, little Chris, and who were the other three? I can't remember. I think Robbie Williams was on his side, you know. Of course, Vinny's team won.
Fair play to you.
The casting was a dream on this, because they all became such good friends, and certainly I remember Dexter Fletcher kind of looking after all the younger actors who were fairly new to it. He'd had so much experience. The camaraderie on set was really lovely to see.
Everyone got into their own little units then. It was a brilliant idea, because everyone, you know, solidified as a team, and you know. So then it was like, when you see the Posh Boys, they're all together as a unit, they all hung out, us lot were all together, and you know,
If I got £1 for every time I was asked if we just sat there getting stoned together, I'd be very rich. We didn't. I don't remember if we did. Maybe that means we did. No, we didn't.
Got the rest from the Fat Man and Bacon? Fat Man, Bacon and myself. Looks like it's time to make that call to Harry. Who's this Fat Man then, eh?
I wanted to play Tom originally, and I kept going, yeah, you've got to let me play Tom. And because the way it's written, Tom is very fat, you know, originally in the script that he's fat, and I was like, I want to put on loads of weight and do it fat, you know, I do the big De Niro number. And the guy was like, yeah, all right, whatever, we'll have a little think about that.
What you talking about? I'm bloody skinny, pal.
Yeah, of course you are.
All right, Ed. Nick the Greek, always a pleasure. Tom, what have you been eating?
I've been telling him this.
Enough already.
Oh, I didn't actually initially read for Nick the Greek. I read for Tom. Because there was in the script there was a gag about Tom being fat, and then which never actually, well, it stayed in the script, but then they gave Jason a part, which actually worked out funnier because Jason is very obviously not fat.
You're not funny, Tom. You're fat and look as though you should be, but you're not. Fat? Who are you calling? Jesus!
When we started rehearsals on it, he wanted me to go full on Greek with the accent and everything, and so I got in touch with a mate of mine who's Greek Cypriot. We went through the script together, and I was doing it, and it was like full on Greek. I was talking like this, innit, and it was coming, you know, it's like this is London, not a fucking Lebanon, and like did the first rehearsal, and guy went, nah, you sound a bit too much like Stavros, the Harry Enfield character. He said, scrap the Greek accent.
I'm going to need some artillery too. A couple of sawn-off shotguns.
This is a bit heavy. This is London, not the Lebanon. Who do you think I am?
I think you need the Greek. It's really perceptive because once he susses out what you've got and where your strengths are, he'll play on those and use those as much as possible, which makes an actor comfortable and hopefully makes the performance better. And Guy was really quick to suss out those things, and because he's not filmed 100 films before, but he realised very quickly that how to make an actor confident and how to direct an actor, and he directed each of us completely individually and differently.
Tráilers, visita mi canal.
Well, it's funny, this was a funny job for me because a lot of the people in it were very much involved in it, and usually, you know, I'm the sort of the rough end of the actors involved in a production, but on this one I was like Jeremy Irons. I was one of the poshest people on the set, which was for me it was a really nice thing because everyone else had a criminal record really except me, so it made a change.
Stop fucking about, Tom!
I've been involved in this movie right from the beginning. You know, I was the first one to get a part in the film, which was getting on for sort of 2 years ago now, with Matthew and Guy were getting it together. And he, in his notes, he'd put, they want Big Chris to be like the footballer Vinnie Jones. So the idea came out, why don't we ask him? And I'd done a small part in a little mini-series on television. And he saw that and he thought I could do it. You got something here for me, have you?
On the first day of principal photography, Vinnie Jones was in the nick. You know, he was meant to be on set, and he was in jail.
Chop chop.
And it was the first day of Vinnie's shooting was when he smacks Frank's head in the door of the car, you know, and we were all down there on location in Brick Lane. And Vinnie turns up, and I remember that. So they put the cameraman down in the footwell of the car, right? So that's that shot of, you know, Vinnie smacking the guy's head in the door, and they put a block of wood in there, so Vinnie's got something to really, you know, mash up the door on. And the cameraman getting down in there, and Guy walks up to Vinnie and says, I want you to really scare the shit out of the cameraman. I really want you to fucking scare him, Vin. Vinnie's like, yeah, oh yeah, I can do that, yeah. And then he just done that take. And you know, you fucking you know, he sweat. And we're all standing around watching it going, Jesus wept.
And after he did this take, we weren't really sure what we was going to do. We had the camera in the footwell of the car, and he went completely mad like this. And when he finished the take, there was like absolute silence, and we're like, okay, should we do that again? I don't think we need to.
Vinnie Jones, when you actually look at his face and he's being violent, you just imagine this nightmare scenario off screen. And I heard of complaints about this particular scene being too violent. Yet you don't see a single frame of anything going on. It's all literally played on Vinnie Jones's face. And just before this scene, you've seen someone shot with a shotgun and their chest exploding, and no one complained about that.
Usually, if you're doing a big feature film, you go in every day and you have the rushes projected and you look at them and you're very particular. Oh, maybe we should go back and reshoot that. I'm not quite happy with the way that looks. On a film like this, we used to watch them at lunchtime on a very dodgy Polish TV on VHS in the back of a van. And there'd be like 20 people all crammed in there trying to watch this monitor while we're eating lunch on our laps. And, you know, it really wasn't a whole lot of help. I mean, do we have an image on the film? Yep, well, that's good. Let's go on to tomorrow.
I mean, the way Guy works is he wrote a brilliant script, and the film is basically verbatim that script, but it's not like working for Alan Bennett where it's gospel, you know. There was lots of room for adding stuff, and a lot of the dialogue, not a lot of the dialogue, but some of the dialogue is improvised, which was really good fun, you know. It was nice to know that you had the scope to say what you wanted, and if Guy didn't like it, he'd just cut it out.
Yeah, my favourite scene is, and I think it's Jason's as well, it's a scene with Jason Fleming at the fruit machine. It was in Vic Naylor's bar, or JD's in the film as it is, and just the two of us actually able to do some acting, just stood one camera shot, took about probably an hour or so to shoot, and me and Jason just bouncing off each other.
I know a man, yes. Rory Breaker.
Oh, that madman with an afro. I don't want anything to do with him.
Hey there, bruv.
If you hold back anything, I'll kill you. If you bend the truth, or I think you're bending the truth, I'll kill you. If you forget anything, I'll kill you. In fact, you're gonna have to work very hard to stay alive, Nick. Now, do you understand everything I've said? Because if you don't, I'll kill you.
I scrutinise particular actors like Baz. I think I just really watched what he did, and he's so funny and so good, because I've seen that stuff on the page, you know, weeks and weeks and weeks before Vaz was on board the project, and there's no way in a million years that I'd think of delivering a line like that. The rhythm that he has with it, the way he comes out with all that, you know, 'cause I ain't laughing, Nicholas, you know, it's like, I mean, fantastic. It's entertaining and charismatic and funny and dangerous.
Your stupidity might be your one saving grace.
Huh?
Don't me, Greek boy. How is it your fucking stupid, soon-to-be dead friends thought that they might be able to steal my cannabis and then sell it back to me? Is this a declaration of war? Is this some white cunt's joke that black cunts don't get? 'Cause I'm not fucking laughing, Nicholas.
Sometimes you can throw a line and just let the line just goes boom over the audience's head, but Rory Breaker's everything he said, everything he did was meticulous.
You think this is a coincidence? This white shite steals my things and thinks that he can sell it back to me. He's got less brains than you, Lenny. Get Nick, the greasy wop shistos pezavengi gamure Greek bastard round here now.
Gamure pezavengi shistos, the Greek bit, that is not in the script. Guy had another version, and we had to do it both ways. I said, no, Guy, mate, honestly, some of my best mates are Greek, Cypriot. Gamure pezavengi shistos, have it. He was saying to me, all right, I'll see, but we do it. And then, you know what? He got into that editing suite, and my boy done me good. Go on, Richie. Gamure pezavengi shistos.
We had a nightmare day. The day we shot all the stuff in the office with Rory Breaker, and there's that bank of TV screens behind us.
It's skunk, and it's as good as it gets.
All right, we'll take it. Half price.
I don't think you'll like that.
And you said 3.5 a key, and you know that's a good price. But it was supposed to be a football match. It was supposed to be a Man United, I think, football game going on. And that morning started badly. The TV screens didn't turn up till they were about 3 hours late. They took a couple of hours to set up. Then they put the tape in, and it was an American football game.
And I remember just over it, because you know, you keep your character, keeping your character, Marlon Brando. But then I hear gossips in the back. Do you fucking mean you can't get no football? Well, you know, it's something to do with Sky and all. What do you fucking mean you can't? I want football, guy, you know. Call them television. What'd you say? We're going to get rid of the television screens? No, we can't get rid of it. Well, I want football. And he was and I was like, I was in my miles, because I was just keeping it in the character. I didn't want to get involved in it.
We'll take it tomorrow. Half price. If he wants to get rid of it quick, he'll have to take it.
I think I was sending Matthew here, there, he was sending them all around. He was sending, in his head, Matthew must have gone around the world, right? Trying to sort this out. But it couldn't work. So they got American football. then as I'm learning my lines, and I hear a guy going, I fucking hate American football. I really hate American. Do you know why I hate American football? And was it American football? It was American football, wasn't it? In the back. No, no. He hates American football, but then they had the speed, the Daytona, is cars, wasn't it?
Now look, I've got a race coming up in a minute, so if you'd just be kind enough to.
That also on that day was the glass table incident. You know, the whole gag about the glass table and the drink through the table all came about from an accident that morning when they were setting up. Somebody, I don't know who, put their foot through the glass top while they were setting up. So we had no glass top. It was going to take 3 or 4 hours to get another piece of glass for the tabletop. So the guy just came off the top of his head, came up with the idea, that whole idea of the glass, and we shot it all in reverse. So with the brilliant Vaz, Rory Bracco walking through the table, and then me putting a drink through the non-existent glass, and then finally when the glass arrived, dropping it in.
Do you want one? No, I fucking don't. You cannot make a cup of tea, Edward.
The entire British Empire was built on cups of tea.
Yeah, and look what happened to that.
And if you think I'm going to war without one, mate, you're mistaken.
This scene's quite a funny scene, really, because it had to be rewritten on the day. They'd forgotten to bring the guns to set, so they rewrote it with the dialogue saying, "You forgot those guns." And it was because they'd forgotten to bring the guns to set.
Going to war with what? Have you forgotten those guns, you dozy brat?
Actually shooting the movies with guys, it's just like playtime, it's not like going to work. Because we'd done all the work beforehand with the compositions, and Guy knew exactly what performances he wanted out of people, by the time we actually got on set, it was just, everyone was just like having so much fun. It really wasn't like real work. It was like, you couldn't wait to get up and go in the morning, because it was just good fun. With a big budget film, you would sometimes do 1 scene a day. Here we're doing 3 or 4 scenes a day. But as I said, what made it possible is preparation beforehand with storyboards. And yeah, just having fun with it, not taking it too seriously. We don't worry with lighting continuity. If there's a window here, the light should be coming from there. But if it looks better to put a light down here, we'll just do it, because we wanted to create an atmosphere, nothing particularly realistic. Wanted a sort of parallel fake world, which I think was achieved quite nicely. And for the whole of the photography, I had a sepia filter on, because I was trying to control all the colours and get them into one colour spectrum. So we worked closely with the wardrobe to have only black or brown or grey, with the art direction not to have any yellows or blues in the sets, and with a filter on the camera and some lighting gels. So the whole film blended into one sepia tone, and that kind of gave it an interesting look, but cheaply and quickly.
Guy knew where it was all going. He wrote it. That was the great thing. He had, he had a clear idea the whole way through, where everyone else might have been going, "What the fuck's going on now?" Guy knew exactly what was going on. So, and that's all that matters, because he's the one who gets in there in the edit suite with his man and puts it all together. And you watch that film and you don't come away going, "Well, that didn't really tie up, did it?" It did. It absolutely ties up very well.
I think they got rid of an editor or something. I may be wrong about that. At some point an editor disappeared. In a good way, I mean, rather than bundled into the bottom of the Thames in a sack.
There was an editor on it for 2 weeks who didn't get on with the job very well and was waved goodbye to, and luckily the production approached a very good friend of mine who was actually working on John Mayber's film Love is the Devil at the time, and he wasn't free to go on to Lock Stock, and he said call Niven. So I got this phone call out of the blue, went to meet them on set that same day, I think, started on it 2 days later. It was left to me to do all the frame cutting and freeze frames and speed changes in the edit suite, and I'd done a lot of that for commercials and music videos, and I loved doing it. It worked really well, and I think the results I'm very proud of, really. And there's a drunk scene which I frame cut the thing so that it was, you know, it was like a pop video really, and I was scared that we were making this little pop video sequence in a movie, and when we tested it on the scorecards, that was favourite scene, favourite scene, favourite scene, so we actually shot more for it and made it longer in the end. It was fun cutting the scene with the gun. In fact, I remember the sound designer creating the most wonderful sounds for that, so I think it's not got any music on it at all, because the sound design for the cartridges dropping and all the little details that work around that being really effective.
Y tus trailers, visita mi canal.
Actually, is one of my favourite bits in the movie, because she's so camouflaged by she's small anyway, and she suddenly gets up with this big submachine gun and shoots the hell out of everyone. That's a great moment.
Where the fuck does she come from?
I realised that the pressure nowadays to do everything really fast-paced would have changed the way Lock Stock was made back then. Although a lot of people would imagine that looking at it they'd say, oh, it's cut very fast. It actually has been cut very traditionally. I've held shots long where they're good and dramatic.
Oh no, not again.
That's it, I'm off.
And nowadays I'm getting pressurised to cut faster and faster and faster, and there's this new kind of MTV audience that we're meant to be creating movies for nowadays, which puts pressure on us to cut things very, very fast. And I think Lock Stock actually was right at the time, and probably very hard to make again. You wouldn't really make a film like that now.
And if you've got no money on you now, you'll be crying tears as big as October cabbages. Bacon cozzles.
The music was right for the time. It feels a bit dated now listening to a lot of it, but it was fresh to have some of that music in a movie.
And that's what they did at that particular time with that film, was they kind of invented their own completely new style of movie in a lot of respects that's been subsequently copied and imitated for the last, 8 years or whatever it is since we made it.
There is one more thing. It's been emotional.
The end of the movie we knew we had a problem with when we tested it, and it was rewritten. Some months later we did the pick-up shoot.
original ending was they walk away with the money and Vinnie Jones is sitting, you track back and you see Vinnie Jones in the car and they say, the little kid says, who's that? And he goes, I don't know, let's follow him and get the money. And so we kind of know the story's continuing. And it wasn't that great an ending, and then Guy had said, I've got a great idea for a much better ending. And so he went back and reshot the new ending on the bridge, which is fantastic.
And that's when Guy wrote It's Been Emotional, all of that stuff, all the stuff of us three sitting in at the bar at the end and Fleming on the bridge with the guns.
Look, you're fine! If we fucking will you shut it? It's fucking ringing!
Jason Fleming had accepted a part on a movie where he had to grow his hair. The scenes were written to make sure that he was able to wear a hat, so that you couldn't see he'd grown his hair.
I wanted to talk to you about that.
When I saw the first cut of Lock, Stock, I was really, really happy because you kind of knew you were onto something big. There hadn't been a decent gangster movie made since Long Good Friday, and before that it was performance.
Right, let's sort the buyers from the spires, the needy from the greedy, and those who trust me from the ones who don't. Because if you can't see value here today, you're not up here shopping, you're up here shoplifting.
The original company that was going to distribute it, Handmade Films, was going under at the time, so we were on the edge of actually being able to find another company to release it.
The problem with a film of this size, with no notable actors, even if it had Sting's not a notable actor, he's a notable musician, so getting bums on seats was difficult.
Tie them up, tape them up, hands and face.
And luckily we found Universal, who we'd been talking to about doing a soundtrack deal with, very keen to release the movie as well.
I sort of snuck into a music screening. They were having a screening. It was a rough cut, I think, at that stage, so it wasn't by any means the finished film, but they were getting the music people in to look at making the soundtrack and getting the music on the film, and I really liked it. There were some things that I thought it was a bit long, and one or two things I wasn't sure about, and Guy Ritchie and Matthew Vaughn were there at the screening, and I just went up and said, oh, it's interesting. And they said, oh no, it's not finished, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do that. And coincidentally, it was almost everything that I was a little bit concerned about that they said they were going to do.
I was invited to a screening at Leicester Square in the morning, early in the morning. We all went down there. And when I saw it then, I just loved it, man.
I failed to persuade them they should sell it to me early. Subsequently, there was a UK distributor screening, and I believe I'm right in saying that everybody passed. And to be honest, I then started to worry about my own judgment, and I was thinking maybe I got this wrong. And of course, the sales agent came whizzing back to me and said, okay, we'll do it with you, And I was going, well, maybe I'm not so sure now.
Are you gonna fucking fight? Are you gonna fucking fight?
And it was getting very frustrating because the screenings were when friends were coming and when people who were just members of the public were coming, and they were laughing their heads off. So we knew we had a gem of a movie.
Shut it! You say a fucking word, the right ear goes. Another one, then you're left.
What are you doing, Blank?
What do you think I'm doing?
I subsequently showed it to, when I was at Polygram, to some of my colleagues. They all sort of said to me, Sally, we think you're absolutely bonkers. And I was like, are you sure? But don't you think it's quite stylish? And I mean, Vinnie Jones, and maybe it's a blessing, maybe it's a curse, but I kind of liked him in it, and it's a good PR angle.
Everybody in England knew about the shenanigans that were going on the set, vis-a-vis Vinnie.
That takes care of that lot, son. Go on,
So I subsequently thought very long and hard about the offer and talked to a few more people and showed it to a few more people, and one or two did actually respond the way I had. And so eventually I spoke to my then boss, Peter Smith, and said, look, I'd still like to buy it, but everybody seems so against it that I'll understand if you say that I've just got it wrong and I'm off my head. And he said, no, if you really want to do it, let's do it. And so we did.
So they had the cash and the puff.
Cheeky bastards.
And then with America, that was proving pretty hard as well. even harder actually, because again, you know, very Brit kind of film, no American actors.
You've got Liberia's deficit in your skyrocket. Tighter than a duck's butt you are. Now come on, let me feel the fibre of your fabric.
I'm lucky enough to know Tom Cruise, who had been staying in my apartment for 6 months while he was shooting a film, and I called him and said, could you do me a favour? I really need you to go to a screening. He said, just send me the print. I said, no, I really want you to go to a screening. Would you do that for me? And he said, when is it? And I said, it's tonight at 6. And he said, right, well, you don't give me much notice, but I'm going to do it. And he very sweetly went along. And I wasn't in America. Matthew was there. And when I called him, I said, Matthew, Tom Cruise is going to come. He said, he is? I said, yeah, he is. Don't tell anybody that he's coming. Just let him walk into the room. And I kind of knew the impact that it would have.
Who the fuck are you?
And I mean, the great thing about Tom's appearance there was, of course, that there was a great deal of interest generated, but also that he genuinely got Lock Stock, and his response was very vocal all the way through the screening. And I called Matthew afterwards and I said, how was it after the screening? He said, well, Cruise laughed his way all the way through it, and he said it's like a feeding frenzy of cell phone activity afterwards. And we got the deal next day with Michael Kuhn and Polygram US.
Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels was released in the UK on August the 28th, 1998, grossing almost £1 million in a single weekend. By the end of the year, it had racked up an astonishing 11 million quid in box office receipts.
It was slightly more than just an ordinary film, but for me it was more the public, getting that public recognition and get that phone.
Pass me the phone.
Chris Bailey, who was marketing at Polygram, did a great poster art. I remember seeing billboards of that, you know, great big Vinny in the foreground, very kind of like, you know, iconic image that you just remembered. And by contrast, in America, I don't think it was, you know, nearly as thoughtful and as provoking as it could be. And I think it got to the wrong audience, and there was a lot of sort of like Vanity Fair pieces, and it should have gone sort of like really to an MTV audience, and I think that was the mistake in the US. It could have been a much bigger film in the US.
If you're so fucking clever, why don't you come up with a suggestion?
Look, I'm thinking, all right, I am thinking.
I watched it the first time, I was like, fucking hell, this looks really good, man. This is, you know, but, you know, of course when you're involved in it, you don't know whether it's just because you've invested all this time and energy and effort and you want it to be good. You so want it to be good, that's why you get involved, you know. And you don't always have a clear perspective on it, whether it's, you know, it is good, but then once the people love it and they're going through it and the film's doing well, you think, yeah, right, yeah, of course it is what it is. It's a great film. Oswald Boateng phoned up the four of us and said, I'm doing a fashion show, I'd love you guys to come model my suits. I'm like, yeah, all right then. And this was before the film came out.
Hit me like a hammer to my head.
This doesn't look good.
I wonder where you pushed or where you led.
You know, we'd never done it before, you know, we all in house. And the four of us walked out into this room full of fashion types, you know, this Aussie Boateng fashion show, and the fucking place went wild. We were like, right, something's going on here then, this is all a bit good.
It's a people's film. UK, it was a like UK people's film, you know, and I think that I think it must have done about 8 or 10 weeks or something like that, full on at the box office. So that's like punters going to the cinema, buying their Coca-Cola, their popcorn, their ticket, and bosh, taking their girlfriends, boyfriends, whatever, going in there.
I mean, once it broke, it was kind of obvious that, you know, and we got dined out on it for the next year and a half. You know, we were at every awards ceremony, and we all in a little posse going places and doing stuff, and we had a really great time.
I mean, we did a couple of things. Some weekends we'd get together, Matthew, Guy, and Vinny, and a few of the boys, and they say, I say, where are you? They say, we're down in Leicester Square, like for the last screening. And we'd go to all the cinemas go at the back, stand at the back and listen to packed out audiences and listen to what they were laughing at and what they weren't laughing at.
Suddenly you're meeting Madonna. It's like, oh right. And she's like, hey guys, seen the film. We're like, oh yeah, it's really good. Oh right, thanks Madonna. Yeah, cheers. Right, okay. Madonna really likes our film. Oh, Tom Cruise has seen it. He says it's great, does he? Oh, good. Oh, right, Tom likes it. That's good, yeah. There's all that sort of stuff happening. And it's unusual. It's not, it's not every day.
I think really the first time was when I got on the tube. Must have been about a few weeks after it had opened, I was on the tube. And I sat there and I just realised that some people, these lads, are like looking at me. I think, oh, here we go, something's going to kick off in a minute. And then as I'm getting off, one of them comes out and goes, hey, you in that film, Lock Stock? Yeah. And I was just suddenly mobbed. It was like sort of 20 odd lads all wanting autographs and things.
The number of people who come up to me and say, it happened this morning. I was getting a parking permit. And the two guys were smiling at me from behind this piece of glass, and I thought, I wonder what it is. I wonder if it's, Romeo and Juliet with the English Shakespeare Company that I did all those years ago. But no, it's not. It's Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels, ladies and gentlemen.
And I still get that now, every day, which is fantastic.
And so, obviously people still watch it, they still love it, but it's nice to have been part of it.
You always seem to get it when you're in a bar or something, you go to the toilet, stand there and suddenly some bloke's doing that at you, and you're like, oh, and you're not sure which part he's looking at. And then suddenly he goes, oh, you'll need to greet, mate. Yeah, it's just, can I have an autograph? And you're like, not just now, no, my hand's a bit full at the moment. Not saying I'm big or anything.
When my mum came up to me and said, if the milk turns out to be sour, I ain't the pussy to drink it. I said, Mum, you can't say that. She said, but it's very funny in the film, don't it, son? Yeah, I suppose. Now, when people started to come up to me and start saying my lines, I'll kill you, I'll kill you. I was like, oh no, man, it's another one of them, innit?
Lock Stock's the style, the shooting style, the actual the writing style, the acting, everything. It's influenced a lot of movies now.
You still see influences of it now, advertising and, all over the shop. The soundtrack's used all over the place and it immediately keys people into a certain cool kind of, thing that at that time, Guy and all that team, kind of captured and made happen.
It was financially in the UK huge success, and the perception in America, even though it wasn't a financial success, was that it was a critical success. So you instantly got perceived to be, a happening producer. So the scripts kind of like came fast and furious through the door. The problem being they were all kind of like poor relations of Lock Stock, and very poor in fact, and to the point where you didn't even want to finish reading most of them.
I've done a lot in my past and some of it's been good and some of it not so good, but this kind of cleared the decks of all the stuff that weren't so good, and kind of gave me a fresh appeal or start, which I was grateful for.
I'm happy that I'm part of the collaborative process of such a wonderful piece of work.
The success of Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels proved that there was more to British cinema than 4 weddings and a funeral, and its success paved the way for such British crime films as Gangster No. 1, Sexy Beast, Guy Ritchie's Snatch and Matthew Vaughan's Layer Cake. It also launched the movie careers of Vinnie Jones and Jason Statham, and is regularly named as one of the best British films of the 90s. Not bad for a movie shot in 5 weeks for less than $1 million nicker.